This is going to be really hard for me to say. In light of recent global events, I feel like I should personally take a bit of a stand and do something to help those people in Palestine. As of today, and until this brutal occupation is over, I will no longer rent and stream Don't Mess With the Zoe, the 2008 comedy classic by Adam Sandler. I don't care for the Doctor very much. Maybe it's partially because I don't trust any psychopath who spends 7 years of their lives studying intensely so they can get the opportunity to stick their hands inside human guts, and maybe it's also just because when I was a kid we could never afford to go to a doctor. Unless you were literally on the verge of, I don't know, dying or bubonic plague, it was pretty much chicken soup and a hot towel over the forehead. Unfortunately, like many countries, I also lived in a place without any socialized healthcare, or rather very limited. And at the risk of repeating myself and or sounding like a parrot, regular viewers, this place was Cape Town, South Africa. For as beautiful as my birth nation is, living there as your average citizen on your average salary is pretty much nightmarish. Overwhelmingly high crime, jarringly low wages, and an unbelievable wealth gap of the poorest and the richest people in my fair nation creates a pretty miserable existence. Hence why, as soon as I turned 18, I packed my bags and flew straight over to England, where I've been able to enjoy high crime, low wages, but at least I get free healthcare. The reason I'm telling you all of this is because the story we're going to talk about today relates to my own direct experiences. As mentioned, your average citizen who isn't rich, and they're going to out themselves in the comments by saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Me and my family went to the doctor all the time. We lived in city centre of Johannesburg, by the way, and Daddy himself would drive us there in his BMW. Fuck off, you. Literally nothing more in this world winds me up than a rich South African trying to downplay how cuck it is to live in that country. If you know what the inside of a Woolworths looks like, be quiet. Just because your mummy and daddy managed to invest in the De Beers Corporation doesn't mean we all did. As I said, poor South Africans had to rely on more traditional methods of making themselves feel better. Herbal and grandma recipes were quite commonplace, as everybody had their own unique little homebrew that they would give to their children and also non-children in order to heal them. In some cases, those methods were literal witchcraft, and in other cases it was as simple as suckling down on a lemsip. Because of this self-made community of, independent medication, if you would, it was incredibly common for when I was growing up at least, that chains of BBM group messages would go about suggesting certain new methods of making one feel better, and even in some cases suggesting individuals who allegedly have the Midas touch when it comes to healing, who you would pay 500 rand in order to rub your face and body, and somehow through their chanting you would magically get rid of AIDS. So it comes as very little surprise to me when I heard about this TikToker by the name of Dr. Matthews, who was essentially the modern day version of that. But much like me, who used to lay upside down with my back pressed against the wall in an attempt to suck my own penis, I may be getting ahead of myself. Thank you, that pun was great. Dr. Matthews, or as his real name is referred to, Sanele Zingwela, is somewhat of a childhood genius. Apparently, by his own account, he skipped through the majority of high school and managed to complete the entire curriculum at the age of 16, and then went off to Wits University in Joburg, one of the most prestigious schools in all of South Africa, where he completed his medical license at the very young age of 21. A very impressive feat, as I think you would even admit yourself. Or rather, it would be if any of this actually even happened. Because, my friends, and this is my own personal theory, unfortunately, Dr. Matthews looks a bit like a frot fruit. And if he was just slightly more attractive, I think he could have got away with spewing this absolute rubbish out of his mouth. But because he has the same facial complexion that would make an onion cry, he was under a slight bit more scrutiny by the average viewer. I'm well aware that makes me sound a little bit incelish, but that's not the point I'm trying to convey. What I'm trying to say is it's a little bit of a well-known fact that the more attractive someone is, the more likely they are to get away with something. And that's just simply human nature. Regardless of how we got here, internet sleuths and detectives decided to dig a little bit more deeply into Dr. Matthews' past and try to verify whether any of what he's saying is actually true at all. And to absolutely no one's surprise, what they found was a whole load of bullshit, which is odd because normally internet sleuths do find something, but it normally tends to be their own ego when they falsely accuse someone of, I don't know, say a bombing that includes a marathon. Through the tinfoil hats and fedora wearing masses, and obviously the wine drunk cat moms, how could I forget, it was discovered that allegedly Dr. Matthew had not even graduated high school, let alone skipped multiple grades. We know this for sure because Cambridge International, the school that he allegedly attended, which yes, I know it sounds odd because that's a British curriculum, but it's quite commonplace for people people to do that course in South Africa because the fail rate is so high in our own curriculum, put out a statement saying that they've never had anybody under the name of Dr. Matthew, or aka Sanele, attend any of their courses within the South African system. That was followed up by a very quick statement by Wits University in Johannesburg, further compounding our little friend here into a tighter box, because they also put out a statement saying that not only have they never heard of Sanele, but they're deeply concerned with the fact that they're using their good university's name in order to enrich himself. I'll get to that shortly, don't you worry, because our friend wasn't just playing the grown-up version of doctors and nurses. The final 1-2 combo came in two parts. One from the official Gauteng Medical Board, claiming that they do not have him registered as an official doctor under their license and practices, which would be pretty fucking important considering that he allegedly, at least according to him, was interning in a hospital in Gauteng. Aside from it being important that maybe a junior doctor needs to train under an official doctor, if he doesn't do an internship in a hospital for his very real doctor position, how's he meant to develop his specific TV character or movie character trait? You know, like how every TV doctor has to have some quirky thing about them, like autism. That still cracks me up to this day, dude. Someone was sat in a writing room and was like, I think we've exhausted every single minority we possibly can for a doctor-based TV show. But what if we made them neurodivergent? But instead of us actually saying anything important about this, let's just have a majority of the episodes just bully the shit out of the guy with autism. Dude, there's one episode, I swear to God, hand on the Bible, where a transgender kid comes in, and I think the doctor's name's Sean, I can't remember, it's been a while. But he keeps referring to the transgender kid as a boy, because on her chart it's biologically referred to as a boy. And then one of the other doctors shames the guy with autism over that. What the f*** are you trying to make a point about? It's okay to bully people with special needs as long as it's against another protected class? It's just mean, dude. And speaking of being mean, let's straighten this back on our boy Matthew. The second punch came in the form of the official South African Medical Board, i.e. the board that represents doctors throughout the entire country, also put out a statement saying that they do not recognize him as an official doctor, nor do they have any records of him either qualifying or interning. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like at this point I'd probably come clean over the fact that I have been lying. But Dr. Matthew doesn't like to play those games. Dr. Matthew, in his big Jimmy Neutron Brain-esque plan, doubled down, and this was even after more internet sloppy sleuthing discovered the fact that the name that he had been giving everyone, Sanele, was in fact a real doctor's name. It just so happened it wasn't Dr. Matthew's name. He had a double-barrel alias, and Dr. Sanele was a real doctor from another hospital. Oh, just hang on a second there. Dino, I thought you just said that he was not registered as an official doctor. Doctors throughout the entire country also put out a statement saying that they do not recognize him as an official doctor, nor do they have any records of him either qualifying or interning. And I'm also very gay. But how is Dr. Matthew using the pseudonym of a real doctor and that real doctor wasn't registered as a doctor? Surely if they saw the real doctor's name and they took it to Dr. Matthew, they would realize he was using an alias and a real doctor's name. Well, you're correct, smart boy. But the thing is, or at least in my best opinion and assumption is, Dr. Matthew was going under a different practice. So as far as the South African Medical Board was concerned, this dude straight up did not exist to them. Or at least that's my best guess, because unfortunately, with it being South Africa, nothing is ever efficient and nothing is ever clarified. So I'm having to do a lot of sticking my finger in the air and guessing which way the wind's going. Regardless of whether or not the wind's blowing in our favor, an important question now becomes, well, if his name's not Sanele, surely his name is not actually Matthew, because why would you use your real name when you're committing a crime? Well, you'd be very wrong, my friend, because that's exactly what he did, and his real name is Matthew Lane, meaning the criminal was using his actual birth name in the crime he was committing. And if you don't think he's the smartest cookie in the bunch, well, bro, you'd be right about that too, because once it was discovered that he was using his real name, finding information out on him was easy as pie. And it was discovered that he did in fact attend high school, but it was under the special needs course. Now, you may be a semi-adjusted person, so you're probably scraping that bald spot in your skull and thinking to yourself, well, what is the point in any of this? You can't make money while being a fake doctor because you're not on the hospital's payroll, so what is the end goal? Pills, really? Quacks, conspiracy theorists, and fitness influencers like to hurl these pills down people's throats. Normally, it's just them doing white label practice, taking an existing medical product, such as, I don't know, a vitamin C pill, in order to upcharge it and sell it to unsuspecting people. If I had to guess, the only motivation he had was to make quick, easy money this way. Best thing about his plan in particular was when people scrutinized, yes, people bought stuff off him, the medicine he had been selling on his TikTok shop, it was discovered that the barcode on the back of the label literally goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Meaning, with no word of exaggeration, we literally have a special needs man selling mystery pills to people on the internet. I don't care if that sounds mean, dude, that's a f***ing terrifying prospect. With all of the information that was gathered on him, and the multiple lies that he was caught up in, it was pretty much inevitable that he would be arrested. I mean, SAPS is completely corrupt and useless, so even they can't screw up something this easy of a slam dunk. All the cops had to do was sit back and wait until he returned back to Helen Joseph Medical Center, where he was passing himself off as Sanello, and then show up to lock him in handcuffs, which they did, but not before Matthew attempted to jump out of a window in order to get away from his arresting officers. You would think he would crumble like butter because of the overwhelming evidence against him, but you'd be wrong.
Can everybody please get out? No, everybody must go out.
No. Why jump to the window?
I didn't.
I was with you, man.
I didn't.
I called you to the
I did not.
Who is this? Who is this?
As of right now, Matthew is facing criminal charges, as well as a lawsuit from Sanello, which goes without saying the reason why. If I had to guess, this guy's gonna get the book thrown at him, just like you need to throw your hand onto that mouse and click the subscribe button to Dino. There is no sexy third act, I'm afraid. He didn't rappel out of a jail window, arse first. I'm pretty sure the only rappelling he will be doing is also arse first, but in Pall Mall prison. If you're wondering about the gynecologist claim, which I know is the reason you clicked on the video, see, I know what I'm doing, you cheeky fuck. I can't confirm or deny that. There's not enough evidence suggesting that he actually was pretending to be one, nor is there any evidence of him going into a room and applying his practice. I think it was just a little bit of a rumor going around to make it more interesting. I genuinely just think he probably went into the hospital, recorded some TikToks and left, which I am going to do the same now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye bye.